So in today's video we are going to explore the history of the Malfoys. Now, Malfoy was a Slytherin, and actually so am I, and I'm proud of it. One thing I do want to say before we kind of look at the history of the Malfoys, because I think it's going to get dark. I think that there's going to be a lot of obviously bad wizards there. You know, I think we should say that his mother and Draco really did redeem themselves at the end. So yeah, I'm just going to put that out there. That's just my opinion. If you guys disagree, let me know. Let me know why. I still think Lucius was a coward. I don't think he redeemed himself personally. But yeah, let's explore this history together. So Malfoy is a name known throughout the Harry Potter universe. The family is rich, they've got pureblood status, and they're one of the sacred 28. Now for those of you who don't know, because I didn't know before this, it is a directory of true pureblood wizards. Wait for the video around that, because I think we're going to unbox a whole load of things we just didn't know before. We know that they lived in Malfoy Manor, and this was actually situated in Wiltshire, and they were related to numerous pureblood families such as the Blacks, Lestranges and Rosiers, to name a few. In addition, much to their absolute disdain, they were related to families of mixed wizarding and Muggle heritage such as the Tonks and the Lupins. They had a reputation for pureblood supremacy, a belief that witches and wizards whose families had not married any Muggles or were Muggle-borns were superior to those who had done so, and were also known for their heritage. During the First and Second Wizarding Wars, they were Death Eaters for Voldemort. They supported him wholly, completely, they were under his command. So let's take a look at the history of the Malfoy family. So the family consisted of an ancient line of pureblood wizards, most of who attended Hogwarts and were sorted into Slytherin. So like many descendants of the noble families, Armand Malfoy arrived in Britain with William the Conqueror as part of the invading Norman army. Armand performed unknown, shady, and most likely magical services to King William I, which gained him a prime piece of land in Wiltshire. Land which was actually seized from local landowners and where his descendants lived for 10 consecutive centuries. Until the passing of the International Statute of Wizarding Secrecy in 1692, which was a law to safeguard the wizarding community from Muggles and to hide their presence from the world, the Malfoys actually integrated themselves into high-class Muggle society. Although this is being fiercely denied, there is evidence to suggest that the first Lucius Malfoy was an unsuccessful candidate for the hand of Elizabeth I. Can you imagine how that would have turned out? I dread to think what would have happened if that actually was, like, the Malfoys already come across entitled, don't give them royalty as well, absolutely not. Some historians allege that the Queen's opposition to the marriage was due to a jinx that was placed upon her by the rejected Malfoy. So the Malfoys then went on to expand their estate with lands from their Muggle neighbours. They played with Muggle currency and assets, leading them to become one of the wealthiest families in Wizarding Britain. In addition, the Malfoy family owned the Malfoy Apothecary, which supplies superior red wine. It does make you wonder if this was actually a name hinting at their pureblood supremacy, their high status. Well, in their mind anyway. Although they opposed the Statute of Secrecy to begin with, they soon embraced it and cut off all ties with Muggle associates, denying that they'd ever been involved with such people. After this period, the Malfoys then turned their attention to seeking influence over the newly created British Ministry of Magic. Now, we all know how that went later down the line. Many of the family members financed the election of their preferred candidates, and they even went so far as to hex the opposition. Now, that is dirty politics if I've ever heard it. Even though the family completely were brought into this whole pureblood thought, this ideal, they weren't willing to flirt with the danger of inbreeding, so I guess they did have boundaries somewhere. They correctly knew that if they inbred with their cousins, it could and would potentially endanger their genes. Instead, they accepted the marrying of half-bloods, such a sacrifice. Due to the small pool of available purebloods, I guess purebloods that they weren't related to anyway. Due to this, you can find several half-bloods on the Malfoy family tree. Now, there was a notable difference between the more fanatical groups such as the Blacks, Lestranges and Gaunts. However, this did not affect the respect they were granted, most likely due to their riches, because we all know money talks, and you always respect the person who has the purse strings, don't you? By the late 20th century, Lucius Malfoy was one of the few pure-blood wizards left, and when the Death Eaters came to power in the First Wizarding War, Lucius joined up. Now, we all know that he married Narcissa Black, a fellow pure-blood wizard, and then they had Draco. So in 1981, the Malfoys were one of the first families who repented following Voldemort's first defeat, claiming they'd been bewitched. It wasn't us. It wasn't our choice. In the Second Wizarding War, they then allied themselves again with Voldemort, with the belief of blood purity. I wonder if they tried to use that excuse again. Oh, we were bewitched again. I don't think they believed it the first time, let alone if you tried to spill it the second. However, Voldemort was displeased with Lucius following his failure to get the prophecy, and whilst Lucius was in Azkaban, Voldemort gave orders for Draco to kill Albus Dumbledore, which we know. This was actually seen as an impossible task, and it was a punishment for Lucius himself. After Snape killed Dumbledore with the escape from the Death Eaters from Azkaban in 1997, the Malfoys were no longer in favour with Who Must Not Be Named, and they were uncomfortable with their manor house being used as his base for operations. Now, I think when we watch the movie, we can see that Lucius and his wife are a little bit dishevelled. They're quite pale. I mean, they're pale normally, but more so. And I just think it really does show that discomfort that in a situation they're being in. They're no longer prim. They're no longer together, sort of put together. They very much look as like they're dishevelled. And I think these are sort of things that were punishment for Lucius to show that, you know, you have not done what I want you to do, therefore I'm going to take things from you as well. This disdain was further demonstrated when Voldemort stripped Lucius of his wand during that meeting, mocked his family for being related to the Tonks family due to their Muggle ancestry and having a werewolf member, which we know to be Remus. Before Voldemort's ultimate defeat, the Malfoys had switched sides, with Narcissa lying to Voldemort to help Harry after asking if Draco was still alive. Neither Narcissa or Lucius participated in any of the fighting during the Battle of Hogwarts, and subsequently none of the Malfoys were imprisoned because of the defection. Sometime between 1998 and 2005, Draco got married, and he was married to Astoria Greengrass. And around 2006, they had a son, Scorpius, who was sorted into the Slytherin house. Narcissa and Lucius disapproved of this marriage, however, because even though Astoria was a pureblood, her family was one of those sacred 28, her change in blood supremacy views following the Second Wizarding War disappointed Lucius and Narcissa. They really are entitled, aren't they? They're really set in their ways. However, Draco also went through these same sort of changes. He would then often start to stand up to his parents, definitely a side we didn't see during the movies, and this would often make for quite uncomfortable and tense family reunions. Astoria suffered from a serious blood malediction. Now, the condition left her frail, most likely contributed to her death in 2019. Draco was content to let the Malfoy bloodline die with him. However, Astoria did not want Draco to be alone, and as a result, Scorpius was born and Astoria then passed away 13 years later. Due to her poor health, the family secluded themselves, which in turn led to false rumours that Astoria was unable to conceive, that they used a time turner to go back in time and conceive a child with Voldemort. False accusations were then made that Scorpius was the son of Voldemort. I mean, I have no words. But hey ho, what do I know? Now, there's not much more actually to sort of say about this. That is kind of the history from the beginning to Scorpius. I do find the Malfoys such an interesting family. I do think that it's taken a long time, but the turn that Malfoy had, that Draco had, was a needed one. But guys, that's really it. That's all I really have to say on the Malfoy history. Like the video if you did. Let me know what you think about the Malfoy history, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the other videos I've got coming out. You take care, and we'll see you in the next one.